আসসালামু আলাইকুম। এডুকেশন অ্যান্ড ক্যারিয়ার উইথ নাজিম শোতে আপনাদেরকে আমন্ত্রণ এবং স্বাগতম। আজকে আমার সাথে দুইটা ব্রিলিয়ান্ট অডিয়েন্স আছেন, গেস্ট আছেন। আমার বামে আছেন ডাকনাম ইকবাল, ওর পুরো নাম হচ্ছে মোহাম্মদ সুবহান রেজা খান। উনি হচ্ছেন একজন অ্যাকচুয়ারিস্ট এবং ওয়ার্ল্ডের ওয়ান অফ দ্য টপ অ্যাকাউন্টিং ফার্মে, ইউকেতে নাম্বার 1 অ্যান্ড ওয়ার্ল্ডে নাম্বার 2 জেনারেল ইন্স্যুরেন্স লিডার হিসেবে কাজ করছেন। One of the rarest find among Bengali communities to have an actuarist. So Iqbal, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And আমার ডানে আছেন আমাদের সেলিম ভাইয়ের সন্তান হামিম। হামিম খুব ব্রিলিয়ান্ট একটি স্টুডেন্ট। ও স্কুলে হেড বয় ছিল এবং সাথে সাথে জিসিএসসিতে A* 10টা সাবজেক্টে A* পেয়েছেন, তার মধ্যে 5টাতে 9 এবং আর 5টাতে 8. So we are very proud of you, Hamim, and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
আজকের এই ফরম্যাটটা আমরা একটু স্লাইটলি ডিফারেন্ট করেছি। এই কারণেই করলাম যে হাইলি এক্সপিরিয়েন্স একজন ক্যারিয়ার প্রফেশনাল আমাদের সাথে আছেন, আরেকজন স্টুডেন্ট, এবং আমরা যারা একসাথে দেখব ইনশাল্লাহ আমরা চেষ্টা করব এই কীভাবে ইকবাল, ডাকনাম ইকবাল, হামিমকে হেল্প করতে পারে তার কেরিয়ার মানে ডিসিশনটা যাতে নিতে পারে, এবং কী কী ভ্যালিউজ, অ্যাট্রিবিউটস, ক্যারেক্টার, নলেজ অ্যান্ড অকুপেশনাল স্কিলস হামিমের এখন থেকে অর্জন করা উচিত, এগুলো নিয়ে জানার জন্য। তো আমরা এটাকে আপনার স্কাই 782 সাথে সাথে ফেসবুক এবং ইউটিউবের মাধ্যমে লাইভ স্ট্রিমিং করছি। আজকে অনেকেই প্যারেন্ট নিয়ে এই প্রোগ্রামটা দেখবেন। আপনাদের কোনো কমেন্ট থাকলে আমাদের স্টুডিওতে ফোন করবেন, নাম্বারটা আছে স্ক্রিনে, এবং সাথে সাথে আপনাদের কোনো কমেন্ট থাকলে আপনি চাইলে ফেসবুকেও আপনি কমেন্ট করতে পারেন। আমাদের কলিগরা এটা পড়ে আমাদেরকে জানাবেন এবং আমরা যতটুকু সম্ভব আপনাদের উত্তরগুলো দেওয়ার ট্রাই করব। সো আমি এখন আমার দুই এস্টিমড গেস্টের কাছে যাচ্ছি। ইকবাল, প্লিজ could you kindly introduce yourself a bit for our audience?
Sure. Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Iqbal. I'm the General Insurance Leader at PwC. I've been at PwC for 26 years. And thank you for having me on the show.
Excellent, thank you. Hamim?
Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Hamim. I go to London Academy of Excellence in Tottenham. I'm in year 12 now, and I've just finished my first year of A-levels, and I'm doing maths, further maths and economics, looking to go into finance. Thank you for having me on the show.
So, excellent. So both of them are, one is willing to be building a career in finance, another one is already established professional in finance industry. তো আমি যে এই ফরম্যাটটা অনেকটা স্পন্টেনিয়াস হবে, কোনো ফিক্সড মানে টেমপ্লেট ফলো করব না, বাট অ্যাজ ইউজুয়াল আজকের প্রোগ্রামে 3টা পার্ট থাকবে। আমরা প্রথমে বলবো ফরমেশন অ্যান্ড ফাউন্ডেশন স্টেজ, যেখানে আমরা একটা মানুষের জন্ম থেকে স্কুল এবং কলেজের পড়াশোনা নিয়ে একটু আলোচনা করব। তারপর হচ্ছে ট্রানজিশন অ্যান্ড ট্রান্সফরমেশন, ইউনিভার্সিটি কোর্স চয়েস হতে শুরু করে প্রথম চাকরি এবং তারপর কেরিয়ারে কীভাবে মানুষ প্রোগ্রেস করে। এরপর আমরা দেখব লিডারশিপ অ্যান্ড লেগেসি, যেটা অ্যাবাউট 40 to 45-এর পর থেকে মানুষ কীভাবে তার কেরিয়ারে লিডারশিপ দেয় এবং কেরিয়ারের সাথে সাথে সমাজে এবং পৃথিবীতে কীভাবে কন্ট্রিবিউট করার ইচ্ছা থাকে এবং কী লেগেসি ওরা রেখে যেতে চায় পৃথিবীতে, এটা নিয়ে আলোচনা করব। সো ফরমেশন অ্যান্ড ফাউন্ডেশন স্টেজে আমি ফার্স্ট আবেদন করব। ইকবাল, ইউ ওয়ান্ট টু সে সামথিং অ্যাবাউট ইউর লাইফ, আর্লি লাইফ?
Yeah, sure. So actually, it's quite interesting, actually. So if you look at my daytime life, I was within a square mile, and I was always educated in square mile. So I went to primary school in Russell Square. I then went to secondary school just behind St Paul's Cathedral in a place called City of London School for Boys. Then I went to university at the London School of Economics and Political Science. And when I actually started work at PwC, I worked near Charing Cross. So I actually didn't move in my daytime life for about 20 years. I was always north of the river. Careers, jobs and companies in the UK, in finance in London, obviously. Absolutely, but it's not just London. And the other thing we have, which I don't think people realise, is once you graduate, the wonderful thing about the UK job market is that you get trained by your firm. You get on-the-job training, and that actually doesn't happen in that many other countries around the world. And so actually, if you look at firms like ours, for example, we train accountants, we train tax specialists, we train actuaries, and then they go out and then they build their careers. So if you're lucky enough to be in the UK, as we all are, you have the potential to have a fantastic training just by your first job.
Amazing, amazing. So we'll come back to you about the formation and foundation stage. Again, we'll go back to Hamim. Hamim, you certainly have excelled in your school, yes? And I have met you, of course, we have interacted with you. You are a brilliant and bright mind, always driven and always wanted to achieve something. Tell me something about your school life. Tell me what you enjoyed in your school and what drove you to go to school and maybe excel in your primary and secondary school.
Yeah, for me, I think one thing that drove me was my parents. So coming from the background that we come from, your parents, they did everything for you from a young age. They made a lot of sacrifices for you. So things like that really motivate you and drive you to work hard for them, because you see how much effort they put in for you and you don't want that to go to waste. So, primary school, you're really young, you don't think about it too much, but then when you get to secondary and then when things matter a little bit more, that starts to come into your mind. So yeah, that's what I would say drove me, is to make them proud, to do something for them. And yeah.
And what motivated you? What did you find any pleasure in studying primary school? A Greek philosopher says life is kind of a two motivational source. One is pleasure, another one is purpose. So your parent instilled kind of a purpose in you, yes?
Yeah.
What gave you pleasure in primary and secondary school?
To be honest, it was the people as well.
Okay.
Going to school, interacting with people, interacting with your friends, interacting with your teachers. I think at the end of the day, like relationships, that's the most important thing. But obviously as well, from a young age, you want to learn a lot of things as well. So, yeah.
Amazing. And you were selected as the head boy in your school. Tell us about the journey. What made you people are calling me maybe for the show.
Okay.
What made you go for the head boy position?
To be honest, like when I was younger, I was a little bit shy. I wasn't out speaking. But my head of year, she always liked me and she always wanted me to have that role. So she told me, like, you need to be a little bit more confident, you need to speak out more. And then from like year 10, I started to instill that in my mind. So I would contribute more, I would try and do more in class, do more extracurriculars. And then, the process was they selected 10 or 15 of the best students in the year group. And everyone had to do a speech in front of the head of years and the student leaders. And whoever had the best application speech was chosen. So it was a competitive process, but I think it was good because it gave me a lot of skills I didn't have before. Like, it gave me leadership, it taught me public speaking, confidence, and yeah.
So in order to succeed, even from young age, you learned to be audacious, to be bold, to have a great oratory skills, and also to overcome the fear of failure, fear of losing out. Yes. So that's a brilliant life journey.
But I think the other thing it shows, and I think it's amazing, right? So you're obviously a very confident young man, and I think, alhamdulillah, like we're blessed to have you as our next generation, right? We really are. But when you were telling your story, it reminded me of what happened to what my parents told me happened to me, and I think it also highlights the importance of sponsorship. And we'll come on to this when we talk about career, because your head teacher said to you, you should do it.
My head of year.
Your head of year. So he or she recognised that within you, and then said, no, you can do it. And I remember my mother told me that. My mama told me that when I was in primary school, the headmaster took my mum aside and said, your son's quite bright. He shouldn't go on to the school that most of the kids from here will go on to. He's really bright. We need to push him. So if you apply to go to City of London school, they do these things called assisted places. So even if you can't afford to go, the government will pay for you to go. And so, and then obviously Emma made sure that I was ready to sit the exams, and I sat the exams and got into the secondary school. But if that chance conversation hadn't have occurred, would my life have taken a different path? If your head of year hadn't have spoken to you, would you have still gone onto it? So I think it just highlights how important it is that we continue to sponsor others in our lives, as well as look out for those who could sponsor us in our careers.
Absolutely. So it's more like a partnership. Partnership between your parents, supporting you emotionally, giving you career direction, sharing their life stories. It's also a partnership with the tutors and teachers who are guiding you, challenging you, and understanding your strengths and weaknesses, and helping you to find the right career path. It might also be some social forces.
Yeah.
For example, the families that you meet, the relatives that you encounter on a day-to-day basis, their positive reinforcement. It's a partnership, and why not partnership? Every successful person is a gift to the world. Human progresses because we always add value to other humans. Yes. So you, as a son of my friend, you are not an asset to your family only. You are an asset to our whole society. So it is our job to support each potential individual to get to the best of their abilities or achieving their potential. So that's a brilliant story. Now I wanted to just touch base one more point. So let's say there are some signs of successful individuals who have a bright future early on in primary school. But of course we know that not all fingers are of the same length and height, yes? So there are multiple people with very interesting prospects with multiple other areas of life. For example, IQ is one, emotional quotient, and then adaptability side, and character and attributes. So has your school really helped you to develop those things, kind of emotional bonding, character and attributes? If you can share that kind of stories, especially from the perspective of those who are not maybe highly clever, from the eyes of the tutors, but who have huge amount to contribute to the society. Any point you wanted to share, using examples of your friends and family members, things like that?
Well, to be honest, if we're speaking honestly, so now I obviously go to a very good school, but before, the school that I went to is in, it wasn't one of the best schools. It was just an average state school. So one thing you could learn from that is, if you're raised right, if you're raised correctly, a lot of the things you see there and you learn what not to do, if that makes sense. And obviously everywhere there's good people and bad people, but if you make the right friends from a young age, that's really helpful, because they help you to guide you onto the right path. They're there to support you, and if you stay with the right crowd, I think that's a really good thing from a young age.
Amazing. So bonding with kind of good kind of people, yes, and then each will nurture each other's minds,
exactly,
and support each other's. Thank you.
I think that's right. I mean, I was very fortunate in the secondary school that I went to, right? So I was given, and the reason I say that is I was given opportunities that I would never have dreamt possible. Like a Bengali person doing fencing, for example, where does that happen, right? So, I had my eyes open to the world by my teachers about what the art of the possible was. The thing that I would observe, if you look at anyone who's successful in any industry, right? So it's not about the bookwork, if I can phrase it that way. Great artists, great musicians, they all work really hard, right? So, I think the thing that I really got from school is that, you may not be as talented as the person next to you, but, effort goes a long way, right? And even if you look at the so-called most talented sports people, I was reading an article the other day about, Shane Warne, I think you have to put like 10,000 hours in to be a sports person. So, that is a lot of work to get to the top of your profession, to get to to be the best cricketer in the world or the best footballer in the world. So I don't think I think that same lesson applies to everything else. You have to put in the effort, and there's no shortcuts in life, which might not be helpful to people watching. But I mean, I think that is just true. You just have to work hard.
So working hard is a vitally important, I think, building block for a successful career. So what drive people to work hard? So, there must be something to do with motivation, inner drive, or aspiration, or, expectations. And of course, many psychologists say that motivation can also come from goal setting. Some of the motivations are also intrinsic. It comes from within. So if you look back at your early life, what drove you to work hard?
Yeah, so, I mean, at school it was easy, right? It was wanting to get the best grade, wanting to be the best student, wanting to be, for me, the best badminton player. I played a lot of badminton when I was at school and at university. That's what drove me. I think the other thing is also, And it's really interesting to hear Hamid talk about like his friends. And I think it's the people you also surround yourself with, because I don't look back at school and think it was work. I was really lucky actually. 2 weeks ago we had our 30-year reunion, which shows how old I am, for people in my secondary school year. And I picked up with people who I literally hadn't seen, some of them for 30 years. And it was like this. It was like we hadn't been apart from each other. And I think for me it was fun. It was fun. It sounds sad. It was fun studying. It was fun being at school. It was fun achieving. It was fun sharing in the success of your friends. It was fun helping your friends, having them help you. That's what my memory of school was.
Amazing, amazing. So even if you put in hard work, you must enjoy it.
Yeah.
And your friends actually make it enjoyable, isn't
Correct.
it? Yes? Amazing, amazing. What motivates you? What motivated you to, for example, seek to achieve high grades and achieve maybe all A stars in your GCSEs? The reason I asked this, before I came to the show, I actually had a few conversations with some parents and some youngsters, yes, and the motivation and ambition and aspirations are not widely shared in our societies.
No.
So I wanted to know what motivated you to aspire and to achieve high. What was it?
Well,
You mentioned about your parents. Anything else?
yeah, I think in life change happens when you have a purpose.
Yes.
So when you set a goal, what you said about goal setting, when you set a goal, when you have a purpose, that's what makes you want to work hard every day. Because motivation doesn't last forever. There's a difference between motivation and discipline. So if you're motivated, it's very fleeting. It lasts for maybe a few days. But if you set a goal, if you have a purpose, and you want to work towards it, that's in your mind. So you want to work towards that every day. So in my case, let's say short term, I wanted to go to a better school, because as I said before, the school that I went to, secondary school, it wasn't amazing. The borough, the place that it was in, I wanted to go to a better school. I wanted to have a better environment so I would enjoy school, so I could do better in the future, right? So that was my goal, to do well in my GCSEs, in terms of the short term, the next few years. So with that goal in mind, I would get up every day, revise, try my best, and yeah.
Amazing, amazing. You're a father, of course. You have your own kids. What will you say to youngsters studying in primary, secondary schools? Of course, for them, life is all about fun. Life is all about enjoyment, yes? Within that enjoyment and fun, how would you like them to, for example, direct their life? Any advice?
Yeah, look, and I think if my children are watching this, they're just laughing at me. They get that from their Amma, not from me. So, I mean, I think childhood is to be enjoyed. That is the first thing I would say. I think too much of it is now on screens. And actually, the first thing I say to my children is, look, do at least one sport. Make sure you read widely. And I mean read books, not read your screen. Because I think the thing is, when you read on a screen, what you don't learn is patience. And I think if you read a book, you have to learn patience. I mean, you'll know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
How do you get through a textbook if you can't even read a short novel? So the thing that I tried to instill in my children was a love of reading.
Amazing.
I mean, that's probably the only thing that I can say I gave them, was a love of reading. And, alhamdulillah, they read voraciously without me or my wife Tina's input, because they just love to read. And for me, I kind of think, well, actually, that's job done, because if they've got patience, then whatever they will be motivated to do well in, I think they will then go on to do really well. I think the other thing is, and this I think it is true of any parent, when your child does well, say you've done a good job. It's not hard, and it could be a small thing. And also, if they don't do so well, then just say, look, I know it hurts, because it does hurt for them.
Yeah.
Then don't be patronising and say it doesn't matter. No, it does matter. Of course it matters. But just say, look, you tried your hardest. You'll get it next time. Do you want my help? And you might not want my help, but if you do, I'm here. And if you don't, you know that I'm here. So you're always positive. And I think that's the key thing. And I think also just saying, and I think this is incumbent on parents, to say to their children, actually, look, studies are important. Getting good grades is important. It's not the end of the world if you don't. We can talk a bit about other careers if you're not book smart. But if you are book smart, it is an advantage.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So from this discussion, what we have understood, what I have understood, is hard work is an essential element of a successful career, especially in primary, secondary, and maybe schools and universities. Then discipline, having that character, determination, and discipline is very important. And having circles of friends who motivates each other, who makes hard work fun, and also who support you, guide you, I think is also very important. And enjoying life in general, I think, is very important. We do not want to punish our sons and daughters. We want them to enjoy life. Whilst enjoying, also they should not be derailing into something that is not related to their career and goal. And then what is interesting, and this is from many of my friends' observation too, allowing kids to read interesting novels, interesting stories, so that they can build that reading habit is vital.
Yeah.
Is vital. We now have a caller, please, if you can tell us your question and then your name as well as from where you call, then we'll be able to answer it to you. Thank you.
Hello.
Assalamualaikum.
ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম। অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমি প্রোগ্রামটা দেখতেছি, আমি পার্সোনালি হামিমকে চিনি। এই প্রোগ্রামগুলো আসলে খুব ভালো, যে নেক্সট জেনারেশন ইন্সপায়ার হয়।
থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ। আপনি যে পছন্দ করেছেন এর জন্য আমাদের ভালো লাগতেছে। আপনার এমনিতে কোনো কমেন্ট অথবা কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন থাকলে বলতে
হ্যাঁ,
পারেন।
আমি একটু আরো ডিটেইলস ওর কাছে যে ও একটু ইন্টার্নশিপ নিয়ে যদি আরেকটু কিছু বলে।
অ্যাবসলিউটলি, আমরা ডেফিনেটলি আমাদের দুইজন স্টিম কলার আছেন। Any suggestion for school going students to go for internship?
Yeah, so what I would say is, and actually it's interesting, I mean, when I actually had this conversation, if you can, think of what you enjoy. So if you enjoy doing English and you enjoy literature and you enjoy writing, think about the careers that might give you. So let's say journalism, the law. If you like doing maths, or if you like doing maths, maybe you want a career in finance. If you like doing science, maybe an engineering career. And the reason I'm saying that is, then look for companies in that sphere. Go to their websites and see what they offer. Nearly all companies now on their websites offer some kind of school internship. The trick is you have to be organised enough to apply early for it. So typically they start recruiting for that in September, for the summer, the September before the summer. So I would say find a group of companies or an industry that you're interested in. Look up the leading companies for that industry, and then just go to their websites, and you will find internships. But do it in September. Don't leave it until after September, and apply in September.
Brilliant, thank you. Hamim, you have any suggestion?
Yeah, I would agree with what you said here. If you know what you're doing from the start, that's brilliant. But you have to put yourself out there. You have to look for these things. You have to try. So, for example, I know I want to do a degree. So since last summer, I've been applying to lots of work experiences, and now I have quite a lot under my belt. Out of the big four, I've had work experience with 3 of them in accounting. So, yeah, it depends on you, how hard you work. You have to look for it. You have to make an effort, because no one's going to come and spoon feed you these things. You have to go out there and find it yourself.
What about the students who missed the opportunity, so did not make an application on time, for example, and at the last moment looking for a placement?
Well, life is like that sometimes. You have to be in the know, you have to be prepared. But it's not the end of the world if you don't find a specific...
Iqbal, actuarist working for one of the top 4 companies in the world, accountancy firms, and Hamim studying in one of the finest college in Britain. So we are very proud of you. If you can share some advice, some comments about transition and transformation. So for example, how students studying in secondary school will choose a college or a university and then their first job.
I mean, why don't you start with that? Because you're doing that now.
Right now, the UCAS transition period. So it depends on many things, but you have to know. Well, not you have to know, but you should have a rough idea of which industry you want to go into. Or if you don't, that's fine. But if you have an idea of which industry you want to go into, and what do you enjoy? How do you enjoy learning? So, for example, I use myself as an example. I know I want to go into finance, and I prefer learning like on the job, more practical, right? Instead of classic textbook education. So for me, I want to get into a degree apprenticeship, which, if you don't know, that's where you work with a firm and they pay for your degree. So you do the degree and you work and you get trained at the same time. It lasts 3-4 years, and the degree is equivalent to a normal bachelor's degree or even a master's degree in some cases. And yeah, so that's for people that want to be more practical, learn on the job, get more experience. But some people, they prefer learning in a school-like environment, you know, classic university. So you have to know what you're trying to get into and how do you enjoy learning. That's what I would say.
Absolutely. So you prefer degree apprenticeship.
Yeah.
You'll be studying as well as working together, hopefully getting salary and at the same
Yeah, of
time
course.
learning, yes? And not paying the tuition fee loan, you know?
Yeah.
You don't have to. But what about the social aspect? Building that social capital, building the network, and enjoying life in general.
Yeah. Listen, degree apprenticeship is the hardest thing to do in my opinion, because university, it's still school. You know, you get holidays, etc. With a degree apprenticeship, your social life is a little bit worse. You don't get you get 25 days off in a year, right? And you're in an office with people a lot older than you, so and more experience. So you have imposter syndrome. You struggle to socialize sometimes. But nowadays, a lot of firms are doing initiatives where they mentor you with people, and apprenticeships are taking in big cohorts of like 30, 40 a year. So you have people your own age. And again, at the end of the day, it's up to you. What do you enjoy? And what's important to you? So for some people, the social aspect is more important, so they want to go university. For other people, progressing their career faster is more important to them. They can sacrifice the social life for a little bit, suffer for a few years, but they want to progress their career faster and further, so they do a degree apprenticeship. So it depends on you, and like how mature you are, if you think you're ready for the work life, or if you want to, you know, there's nothing wrong with whatever you choose. It's up to you at the end of the day. Everyone's different. So yeah, that's what I would say.
And in relation to making applications to right sorts of providers, when do you have to make that application, and what kind of providers are available for other students?
Are you talking about degree apprenticeship?
Degree apprenticeship.
Okay, so now I'm in year 12, June. The applications for most degree apprenticeships open in September, October, November, some of them later in January. A lot of firms offer them, a lot of firms. The big four, PwC, EY, Deloitte, KPMG, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Bloomberg, basically every big finance and law companies as well. There's lots of solicitors, degree apprenticeships, software engineering, lots of big firms, lots of different firms. So yeah, around September to January time is when the applications happen.
Yeah, so I think we were one of the first firms that offered it at Newcastle University. And when we first offered it, I think it was the most oversubscribed university course in the whole of the UK. So PwC now offers it at 6 universities.
Brilliant.
So, I mean, I'd agree with him. We touched on this earlier, I think. If you want to do something like that, whether it's an internship, degree, an apprenticeship, or even just, you know, some work experience, you do need to be organised for the September intake, right? And when I say you need to be organised, it's not just looking at September. I think you need to put some effort in before then to look at kind of what the application form is like, you know, what kind of skills that you're going to need to demonstrate to be able to be successful in that. And it's entirely possible to do it, right? Everyone can get onto a degree apprenticeship if you get the right grades, obviously, but the other life skills that you have to bring are equally as important. So demonstrating leadership, demonstrating you can work in a team. These are things that you can do at school. You can do that with your friends. So you can get real life examples of that, but you will need that before you make that application.
Yeah.
Sure. So you have gone through the university life. Hamim hopefully will go through degree apprenticeship life. Tell us more about your university life, and what did you really learn from it, and how did you transit from university life to a job properly?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I actually think university is the worst grounding for a job, because at school, you go in at a regular time in the morning, you have regular lessons, and then you have the discipline that you have to go home and do homework, and then you prepare for exams. And if you think about work, Work is similar. You know, you have set hours that you have to do. You go to university, depending on which subject you study, you might only have 16 hours of classes and lectures a week. That is the absolute worst grounding for a job. So, you know, like the degree that I studied, I did econometrics and mathematical economics. In theory, only had 16 hours of lectures and classes. So at university, you have to be very self-disciplined to say, yes, I'm going to enjoy time with my friends and make time to do that. But also, I need to spend time in the library. Or, if, like I did, I played quite a lot of badminton at university. I need to make time to do that and make time to study and make time to do some social activities with my friends. The one thing that I would say about university, though, is that it teaches you life skills. So the ability to network and make friends with people who come from very different backgrounds to yourself, that's really important in a work environment. Whichever company you join, you're going to meet people who are not like you. And people from our community, that's especially important, right? We need to be able to mix and also the ability to communicate, I think, is the most important skill. To be able to communicate something, a complex idea, in a very succinct way that anyone can understand it, that's the most important skill you need to gain. And I think university teaches you that.
Excellent. So universities, of course, offer you certain things. For example, it gives you opportunity to network, build your social capital, and how do you manage your own freedom, actually, yes. But at the same time, degree apprenticeship gives you a lot of opportunities for professional networking, and be really focused about your career and then develop that occupational, subject dependent and career dependent skills, yes. So both of them have huge advantages. So let's imagine someone studying a subject in any university, not a technical subject, more like a generic subject. What would be your advice to them to aim to get, who are aiming to get a good job? What would be your advice?
So I think it's very different now compared to when I went to university because, I mean, Hamim will say this, I'm sure, it is a lot more competitive. So I think even in your first year, you should be starting to think about what kind of career do I want, what industry do I want to work in? And in your first year, I would be looking at firms that are in that industry and starting to apply for summer internships for the following year. Now, you need to do that in September, but you need to draw up a short list of companies. You need to do that in your first year.
Excellent. So even if you are studying in any subjects in a university, having the right career focus is highly important.
Correct.
And then what kind of jobs you want to do, research about that job, and where you want to work, research about those companies, so that you become prepared and then start making application as you are progressing with the universities. Degree apprenticeship is fairly new. I think many parents even do not know much about degree apprenticeship. Do you want to say, do you want to share your stories? How many of your friends are actually going to pursue degree apprenticeship, and how many of them, ballpark figure, is going to pursue university programs, and how many of them would actually really go for a job, full-time job?
Yeah, I think degree apprenticeships are very new. People don't know too much about it, which is why, especially in our community, people have a misunderstanding. And I had a misunderstanding. When I was younger and I used to hear the word apprenticeship, I thought it meant like second rate, you work a basic job, you get paid a wage, you don't really get any qualifications. And there are apprenticeships like that. But a degree apprenticeship is when you do a degree, so you still have qualifications, and you work with most likely a top firm at the same time. So, for example, I'll use finance as an example. EY, they offer degree apprenticeships, level 7. So you do the ACA qualification at the same time as working there. And then in 3 to 4 years, you have that qualification, you have 4 years of work experience, you have a guaranteed job. So as you said about competitive, the job market's very competitive, so it's hard to get a job these days. And say, for example, you do go uni, a lot of people from uni, they apply to these grad schemes at KPMG, Deloitte, EY. And even if you apply to these grad schemes, there's 1,000, 2,000 other people applying at the same time. So why go through that struggle if you can have it from earlier? If you can secure the degree apprenticeship, that's secured for you. Okay, and then when you finish your apprenticeship, you're guaranteed a job there. You're guaranteed a promotion, you're guaranteed a job there.
And what percentage of your friends, for example, are willing to pursue degree apprenticeship?
The school that I go to now, the college that I go to, I'd say half and half. Like half the people want to do, well, maybe not half and half. 60% want to go to uni, 40% want to go to degree apprenticeship route. It's kind of split. Some people are still a little bit unsure, but most of the people, they apply to both.
Okay.
So yeah, and these days it's becoming a much more popular route. So 5-10 years ago, no one really knew about it. It didn't really exist. But now it's a much more popular route. People want to go down that path.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say to parents, if your child knows what they want to do as a career, so, I'm not sure how this would happen. It certainly didn't happen with me. But, if your 16 or 17-year-old knows that they want to be an accountant, or they want to be a lawyer, or they want to be an engineer, a degree apprenticeship is a fantastic route into getting into that. Because, as Amim said, not only do you get your degree, you often get reduced tuition fees. Not always, but you often get reduced tuition fees. Your child will have a job at the end. And for those people that need a professional qualification, they will have the professional qualification almost at the end of the degree, other than the experience requirement. So typically to become an accountant, you have to have 3 years work experience as an accountant, but you will get that. Now, the disadvantage with doing a degree apprenticeship is that if you get it, you have to take that job at the end.
Yeah.
You can't pull out. So you have to know that you want to do that job. So don't apply for an accounting profession if you don't want to be an accountant at the end.
So you must know what you're choosing and then pursue and persevere in it. Okay.
That's a common misconception that people have, is that you get stuck into that industry. That's not always the case. Rarely that can be the case, but I've spoken with a lot of degree apprentices myself, and the other day I spoke with someone at EY. He's doing digital technology solutions and consulting at EY, and he told me that you don't get stuck in the role, because with a degree apprenticeship you earn a lot of transferable skills, right? So with those transferable skills, it becomes easier to actually move from a different company or to a different industry. You're not required to take on the role.
So I think that's true, but you will have to do a number of years at the company, and that's the only point that I'm making.
Like from the beginning, you're contracted to do. I mean, to be honest, you don't have to. A lot of people, they drop out after a year because it's too hard. But most people, you have to do that. 3-4 years.
Yeah,
but that's part of the degree as well.
I agree with that.
Dropout can happen both in universities
Yeah.
and a degree program. What Iqbal is, I think, saying is that you need to pursue it for a long period so that you can earn your degree.
Yeah.
And then also you also earn your salary. Yes. Okay. Now I wanted to just touch base on the final segment of this discussion. I'm hoping that you'll be able to share some information about leadership and legacy. So I will ask a philosophical question. In philosophy, there is an ontological view of the world. And the first view is that why do we exist, for example? That question, that answer, has some connections with your goal setting and with your mission and aspiration in life. So why do you think you exist? I wanted to maybe go back to Iqbal. Iqbal, are you driven by professional success? Do you want to contribute to the society through social means? Do you want to support your family? That's also a legacy. Tell us more about your leadership, legacy, and the purpose of life.
Yeah, look, and I think it's changed over time, as all things do, right? So when I was younger, I was definitely driven by, I want to be able to provide for my family. I knew at quite a young age that I wanted to get married, I wanted to have children, and I wanted to do a career where I could be successful professionally, but also provide for my parents, provide for my children, and provide for my wife, right? So that drove me. But it's really interesting you talk about legacy, because I've been very lucky in life. I'm a partner at PwC, and when you get admitted to partnership at PwC, what you get told is, remember that this is a fleeting moment, that you'll be a partner for a period of time. You have to leave the partnership in a better place than you found it. And actually, as a partner, and as someone who's in their kind of late 40s, I really do feel that. So when I look at the roles that I do within PwC, when I look at the support I give to younger partners, younger directors or senior managers who want to become directors and partners, for me it's about growing our firm and leaving it in a better place than when I first entered the partnership.
So professional legacy, family legacy,
correct,
have contributed to your worldview and maybe shaped your career.
And the final thing I would say is, and this has occurred relatively recently, I want to help members of our community be successful.
Amazing.
I think the Bengali community is not great at this, actually. If you look at other communities, they are much better at, when they have successful people, they hold out a hand and help pull people up. I used to joke with people of my generation in the Bengali community that if there was a Bengali that was successful, they would kick the ladder away from beneath them. That's not what I want to do.
No, that's not.
But I think our
changing,
community
I
has
think.
changed, right?
Yes, it
but
has,
but
it is
but I
changing.
feel that quite personally. I want to give back to my community. I want us all to be successful.
It's amazing. So Iqbal he wants to leave a legacy, of course, genetic legacy through his family, professional legacy to his new partners, and also social legacy by supporting younger generation people like Hamim, so that they can pursue the right career
Yeah.
and get the best of the world and contribute to the society. What is your life goals in life? You know, if you can just say whatever you wanted to say. You know.
Yeah, well, the world is temporary. We're here for a short time. Like religiously speaking, our life goal is to attain Jannah, be the best versions of ourselves in this world. But in terms of while we're here, I think to make a positive change, to make a positive impact, to enjoy your life as well, to be happy. And what Mr. Iqbal said about having a family, for example, leaving a legacy, having children, things like that are very important. Leaving a positive impact. And for example, like if you raise your kids right, that's a positive impact you've left on the world, because then they'll go on to do that as well, and it repeats the process. So yeah.
So that's a different and interesting views. We as a human, sometimes we need to see it from divine perspective as well. We will be transcending to a new world, and another world, or next world, and what we are leaving behind, there is a footprint we are leaving behind, and will be just based on what we are leaving behind. So we need to create positive impact and mitigate any negative impact, and at the same time enjoy the life, because this life is a gift from your Lord. It's also a testing ground. So we need to have the purpose and the pleasure, but we will be transcending to the next world and using it as a test case so that we can thrive, our community can thrive, and we can, of course, answer back to our Lord. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a very fruitful and interesting discussion. Do you have any suggestions for me? I mean, is there anything that you want me to change the way we organize this event or this program?
This program.
Yes.
And this program was great.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you. What about you? Any suggestion for me?
No, I thought this was fantastic. It was really good fun, and thank you for inviting me on.
No, it's really a pleasure. I know both of them for quite some time, but we never had that time to discuss about a particular topic, and I enjoyed thoroughly, and I'm sure our viewers have enjoyed it too. Many thanks for joining us, and viewers will be again hopefully joining in the next week session, and we'll be inviting some prominent figures from our community. Please stay tuned and join back with us in the next week. Thank you very much.